Hello and welcome to chapter number 10 of mass communication. And last chapter, we spoke about the journal part of radio. Today is more technical. We are entering the radio station. And trust me, it's a very interesting chapter. Something very interesting that you learn how does the entire radio work. It may look like a normal building, but once you enter the studio, it is amazing. The first line itself has the most important part of the chapter that a radio station has three very important wings, right? Number one is called the program wing. Number two is the engineering wing. And the number three is the administrative wing. So just remember the program wing, P, and then we have the administration or the engineering wing, first E and A. Remember the word P as in PEAP, mutter, right? But this is very interesting that the three wings of a radio studio. So you program the entire program, what to speak, what to broadcast. Remember the word broadcast that we use? And then you have an entire concept of people who can make these sound waves these into a proper recognizable sound to the audience. The engineers do. And administrative is which channel comes after what. So these are the three areas of a radio studio inside the radio station. When I say the radio studio looks like, the film studio, isn't it? Most of us go to a special area. We used to go earlier. A studio will be there. There'll be chroma or a nice screen behind. Same way, the radio studio is exclusively to make good content. So you have to have a lot of silence in the radio studio. So there are two doors. As soon as you open, there is one door, which is not easy. It's a heavy door. But you enter the door, there's a smaller enclosed door. And that you open is where you enter the studio. And this door is called the sound log. Remember, very important word. What is a sound log? So the space between the two doors is a sound log. The purpose of sound log is no unnecessary sound from outside should enter the studio. Not like our Zoom meetings where any news and any children can go in. Radio is a very important, it's a commercial area. You don't want anybody, hey, kya kar rahe ho? Chai le kya? You don't want such sounds like that. So radio is very enclosed place, a sound log. I was an FM. I've been to FM station, done some programs there. So I understand, small chipping of the birds. A crow comes and sits here and says, cow, cow. It will disturb you. I hope you remember what you're talking about. Now, what is in a studio? So if you look at a radio studio, there are three things inside. Remember, first P. So we have got the P, program, engineering wing, and the administrative wing. Now, once you enter the studio, there is a radio. So the entire studio has to have what we call the radio studio. Then there is a control room, and we'll talk about the control room, where it is the technical part of it. And finally, it is a transmitter, or you can call it the AB, which is the announcer's block. So we will talk about these things as we go into the next. Just quickly, let me go through some in-text question so you know what you're talking about. So remember, AB, announcer's booth or transmission studio. There is a radio studio, and as we said, there is a control studio. What is inside the AB? What is inside the announcer's booth? Where the real RJ, the radio jockey, sits. Where there is like RJ Malishka or Jitu Raj from FM radio, Hot Mirchi, all these channels they come in. There's a computer, there's a CD player, and there is a desk tape with mixtures. So remember 2 or 3 things you may be recalled. Asked that a computer is important. A CD player is there with desk tape. So you play the song here, and there's a mixer. There is a red button. You press the button, you speak. You close the button, and you can open up a Gana kuch chala rahe. Okay, some song can go on. So this is important. What is the studio where the announcements are made? Well, that is the announcer's booth or the transmission radio. And what prevents the outside noise from coming? Remember the sound log. What are the 3 wings for it? Radio station, remember PEAP, right? Program. We are looking at P for programming wing, then E for engineering wing, and A for administrative wing. I hope you remember it as I speak about it. It's easy. It's not difficult for you. This is an entire thing that we talk about. Yes, this is more technical than the other part, the other previous chapter. Remember the 3 wings we spoke about? Now the 3 studios. What is a control room? So in the studio, we have the radio room and there's a control room. The control room essentially is where the technical team is sitting. All the control. So when the transmitter has to be spoken, how do you speak, where the mic is, how the recorded sound will go through, what's the voice coming in, is it nice or not? All of these technical people send the waves to a transmitter. So the studio, CR, control room, goes to transmitter, and from the transmitter, it goes to us, the listener. There should be no time gap between the transmitter sending the sound waves to the listener. You don't have to wait. It's not buffering. There are two kind of transmitters. So remember, small things, but very interesting. One, most of the transmitters are like this. If you look at the picture, you will understand. These are transmission towers. Now, most of you associate this with mobile phones. The radio also has transmission towers. So these are towers. And okay, too much of highlighting. So we'll quickly go back to my transmission, right? And unhighlight it. So this is the transmitter's tower that we've got. And this tower usually generally is a high-end tower. So the capacity of a transmitter tower outside will be around anywhere between 100 to 250 kW, kilowatts. Okay, sorry, my writing on the screen is not very good, but remember it's kW. Of simple as 1 kV, 1 kilowatt. So remember, transmitter studios are two types. The transmitter receives the sound wave, the equipment, and the radio broadcast is happening. Big transmitters are outside. There are two type of transmitters, depending on the coverage. The low power transmitter, LPT, which is inside the studio, 1 kilowatt, and HPT, high power transmitters. So again, I said very technical, very simple, but understand. And then the two waves that are sent through transmitters is M wave, medium wave, and S wave, short wave. Simple questions. I know this is the word we use is radio broadcast. For broadcasting any signal, these are the waves that you require. So hopefully, once I got the in-text questions, I've actually, maybe I've covered too much of yellow here. But remember, LPT, low power transmitter, high power transmitter, FM. Oh, we have not come to FM though. Frequency modulation, I'll talk about it. M wave and S wave are what we already spoke about it. So just quickly to understand, inside a radio station, there are some key people. So I will quickly, since I've already done a lot of yellow here. Sabse pehle to there is a director, station director. Don't have to remember all the things you do. Director is in charge. He's like the manager of the thing. There are two technical people here. Station engineer, remember he's in the control room, and the transmission staff, which is taking care of the transmitters. Finally, we've got a program personnel, and there is a radio jockey. So these people are responsible what you're listening to. Radio jockey or the announcer, RJ, RJs. So radio jockeys have to have good voice, pleasing personality. They should think on the spot. They should, who's going to perform, what are they going to perform, music performance. Artists will give voice rendering. There will be different kind of voices coming from the artist. So this is what a radio channel has to come. Little technical in this part, but you will understand a lot of it. So radio broadcasting in India started as Akashvani of All India Radio. What is Akashvani? Akash means sky, Vani means talk, Sky Talk, right? Essentially, the radio waves came from sky, so they are called Sky Talks, and very interesting Akashvani that we've got. The world has changed radio network in the world. Amazing. There are three: national, regional, and local news. Very simple. National news is where everything happens around the country. Mostly the language of broadcast will be English or Hindi. Very, very popular languages across. And then there's Urdu, there's Malayalam, there's Tamil, there's Marathi, there's Gujarati. So these will become regional channels from different states. For example, there's a channel in, say, Assam called the Guwahati channel, or in Shillong, which is a northeastern channel. And then there's local radio. Local radio will be Mumbai local. What is happening is the city, there's a traffic jam, there's an event happening, all of these. The radios that you are more frequently and are more familiar with are the FM channels. Frequency modulation, FM is the new world. It's easy. All of you have FMs on your mobile phones. FMs are very easy. It's in the car that you play. FMs of All India Radio, no, not the general FMs. Two FMs are there, Rainbow and Gold. Rainbow has 12 channels, very popular Indian Western music, and the Gold is more to do with news, broadcast, and other areas. So they are FM channels, but there are many FM private channels. Radio Mirchi, very popular. Radio Mango, Big FM, Times FM, 93.5, 103.8. Some channels in different cities may have different channels. So much about radio. All of it is simple, technical, if you understand it. And finally, the last part is there's something called community radio. And this community radio is something I'm introducing in my own school, the Golden Sparrow, which is, which is interesting. What it does is you can have a smaller radio channel for your own community. It is for local audience, relevant information. There is a flea market. There's an announcement of somebody graduating. All these things are there. It's a radio license has to be required to operate the community license. And it's a very, very local dialect. So, it will have English, Hindi, English coming in. If it's a Gujarati thing, folk tales, and entertainment is also part of it. Also, an example is, let's say the educational community channel is from my university, the Anna University in Chennai. So it's called Anna FM, right? Anna FM is in Chennai, Tamil Nadu. And this was, it's a long, almost close to 20 plus years of this channel now, or close to 20 years. So this is a community radio. Hopefully you'll go through it. Simple. If you run through the channels, the way we have, what's the match the following? Who's a station director? So station director will be someone head of the programming, number D. Who's station engineer? Station engineer goes to engineering wing. Simple as that. Engineering wing. Who's radio announcer? Radio announcer should go to someone who announces or presents the program. All India Radio is having, they have two kind of FM channels, Rainbow and Gold. And what's an FM channel? Well, an FM channel would be, okay, All India Radio, sorry, will go to three-tier broadcasting, right? National, regional, local, and FM channel. An example is FM Gold, FM Rainbow, a lot of things. Same thing we did, radio working station, remember? Three very important parts, wings, the radio room, the control room, and the transmitter. The radio station has a community radio, very common question that you get. So this is all that we've got. All the best.